Okay, welcome to the True2 3R ride. For those of you that followed the Launchpad, thank you very much. Hope you enjoyed the video. Now we move on to the next ride in the series, the True2. And as I explained in the Launchpad ride, the idea of this is it's a follow-on for those riders new to Zwift or who are doing recovery that go on the Launchpad, and then we try to encourage them to come on this ride, because here you're going to learn slightly faster riding, well, not slightly faster, a good deal, just about every lap on this ride. And then the group will regroup afterwards, the sprinters will regroup, so you'll get an idea of how the dynamic works. And this is a really good training platform for anybody thinking of taking up racing on Zwift. And we're actually hoping to use the Launchpad and the True2. We're going to introduce a few more rides so that riders can do exactly that, so that they can train and join the entry-level Zwift races, which are the D category. That's how many of us started out and worked our way up. Now, just to explain, if you're coming to this video for the first time, we're in what we call the holding area here, or the gate. So what you can see in front of us is a red barrier that will lift when the countdown timer, currently at 42 seconds, when the countdown timer hits 0, the gate will lift and all the riders will set off on the ride. So make sure you're in the right gear and make sure you're riding at around the pace you're going to need to, otherwise you'll get shot back out of the group. For me, I think it's about 125 watts to do 2.0 watt kilograms, so I'll start by gradually increasing, but by the time the gate lifts, I should be somewhere near. And the idea is not to go off shooting off, but to actually start the ride with the group. So here we go. Just try and stay with the leader. There's the leader in yellow, the yellow beacon. And the idea is that I'll try and stay with Darren. Darren Bramwell's our leader tonight. And he has the fence. Now let me explain the fence. Again, if you've been on the Launchpad you might know much of what I'm repeating here, but this is for the benefit of those that weren't on the Launchpad ride. Darren will set a fence 10 seconds in front of the riders. So if you look up to the top right of the screen, you can see the mini-map, you can see the yellow and blue blobs, and if you look just in front of them, like a deal, the letter D lying on its side, you have a red gate. Now, the purpose of the red gate is to keep the group together, because any riders that go through the gate will be given a warning, and the warning usually goes something like, you know, you have 60 seconds to return to the group, otherwise you get kicked from the ride. Now I'm not sure how many warnings you get. Somebody told me that you get 3 warnings, but I don't know whether that's true or not. I need to test it. In fact, that might be an idea. I might test that out this ride. Okay, but Darren will basically keep a steady pace. He will come in at 2.2 watt kilogram, and he'll expect the group to stay around him. Now where it gets more difficult is we'll announce sprints every lap. So each lap there will be a sprint, and that will split the group up. Now the idea after a sprint is you do the sprint and then you immediately ease off the pedals and rejoin the leader. If you don't, there's a serious risk you're going to go through the gate and be dropped from the ride. Now the other thing to explain about a 2 watt kilogram ride is it won't be 2 watt kilogram for everybody. There'll be some riders, particularly the lighter riders, who may well have to do more than 2 watt kilogram just to stay with the group. And the heavier riders might be finding it slightly easier because they have more power and don't need to put out the same effort to ride at 2 watt kilogram. So it's a bit of a mixed bag, but you do get used to it. You do get used to, you know, what pace to ride at. And here I'm going to give you a tip. When I lead the True2, I almost always invariably come in bang on 2.0 watt kilogram. And people ask me, how do you manage that, Derek? How do you manage week after week to come in exactly on the stated pace? Well, my secret is I use RPM. So what I do is I decide a 3 RPM range, or 3 or 4, let's say, and almost all the ride I will stay at that RPM. Now I know on my own ride, in this particular gear tonight, my set RPM is going to be 80. So you will only ever see me riding tonight anything from 76 to 84. So 4 RPM either way. And I know for a fact that that is going to keep me at the designated pace. Because for me, 80 RPM is going to give me the correct watt kilogram to stay on pace. Now obviously that can change if I'm going uphill, if I'm going downhill, but that's my basic guide. If I stay within the 4 RPM range, I will stay on pace. And you can see now I'm riding alongside, just behind Darren the leader, and I'm staying in my RPM range. So there we go. Of course, the easiest way to stay on pace is to ride next to your leader, because the best leaders, and certainly the 3R leaders, will almost always try to stay on pace. So if you stick with them, you can't really go far wrong. Now I explained other dynamics in the Launchpad ride. For example, what happens if you get dropped out the back of the group? Well, at this pace, it's going to take you a significant effort on your own to close up any gaps that form. So what you have to do is you have to shout out, you have to message. So press M on your keyboard or use your companion app to message the group and say, I need help, or help. or I'm dropped. And what will happen is the sweeper, in this case Michael, who's doing a sterling job with the red beacon, Michael and his team, because generally it's a few riders, a few of the stronger riders. Okay, and we're going through the first sprint, so I'm going to stop talking and let you see what happens here. Darren is announcing go, go, go on the screen. He won't sprint himself, but all the sprinters will now head for the green sprint baron you can see coming up. On your left hand side you see the sprint logo and you'll see who's got the first sprint. So let's see, once I go under the banner we'll find out. Okay, so Jay Horio in a time of 14:01 got the first sprint. Okay, so now we go around for another lap before we do the next sprint. So getting back to being dropped, if you're dropped, sweepers or a sweeper will drop back to give you a wheel, because drafting works in Zwift, and if you lose the draft you almost invariably have to work twice as hard, if not harder, to put out the same effort as the group is doing. Like, I've got to be careful here I don't lose the group while I'm talking, because it would take me quite a large effort to get back. Now what helps, if you're in a situation where, like me, you're near the back of the group and you want to move forward, if you look up to the top left hand, second from left, you'll see what looks like an air helmet icon with a circle around it. That's called a power up, and the part of the gaming in Zwift, you get different power ups at different times. Now if you press your space bar or you go to your companion app, you can press on Aero Boost and hey presto, I get an Aero Boost. It lasts for about 10-15 seconds, but can you imagine having one of those in a sprint? That's where the gamification and learning the ropes on Zwift pays off. Because if you use the aero power up when you in the last couple of 100 meters of your sprint, you're going to fly, and it's going to give you a huge advantage over riders without the aero power up. It's not a magic bullet, but it definitely helps. So that's getting dropped. If you get dropped, you call out and somebody will come back and help you out. Now if you come along on this ride and you are a strong rider, there's two things you can do to make it a little bit more difficult for yourself. If you don't want to help out at the back and sweep, because sweeping is a very hard job, you have to basically drop back, collect riders, and then generally you're doing 3 to 4 to 5 watt kilogram to get back to the group. So it's hard blinking work. But if you don't feel like sweeping, if you just want a slightly harder work, well not a slightly harder, but if you want a harder workout, then imagine doing this ride without drafting, without the draft working. And there's a way to do that. Before you start the ride, change your bike to the in-game TT bike, the time trial bike, and that's the only bike in Zwift that doesn't allow you to draft. So basically you could do this whole ride without being able to draft, and that would give you a substantial workout. It's not something I'd want to do at the moment, but it would give you a substantial workout and an increase in pace that you'd have to do to stay with the group. But if you keep an eye on the top right and the mini map, you can see we're going up a slight rise now, but you can see that the group is all together. So we've done the sprint, we've done a good half a lap, and we're all back together. A couple of riders out the front, but they're flyers and they will be kicked from the ride. So you never chase flyers. Let them go, let them do their own thing. Your job is to stay with the leader. I'm riding on his wheel now. So ride with the leader, finish the ride at the set pace. Although you have to note that if you're doing sprints every lap, then obviously the leader's going to come in at 2.0, but if you're sprinting every lap, you're going to come in over that, generally around the 2.3, 2.4, because obviously you're going much faster in the sprints and raising your watt kilos. So Michael's working hard at the back, bringing people back to the group with the red beacon. We can't see him now, but if you look on the mini map, you can see the red shield a fair distance behind the group. And trust me on this, Michael will be doing close to 5 watt kilogram just to get back to the group. He'll certainly be doing 3 and more. He's closed the gap up beautifully now. There you go, he's 3 seconds behind. So he's brought back the riders, he's closed up the gap. Any minute now you should see him coming past. Okay, we're getting ready for sprint 2. Now on this course, this is the Richmond course, we take the turn at the end of this road, so there's a U-turn, you take the turn and then you start on the sprint long straight. Now most people should start winding it up in the turn, so as you hit the turn you start increasing your power, and then once you've done the turn, that's when you should kick. There's the green banner, but we're coming at it from the other direction. So we're going to go down to the turn, we'll get there shortly, and then once you're down in the turn, you start raising the power, and then you kick out of it. Now Darren will probably announce go, go, go again. That's what I do. There you go, there's set. Now don't forget I'm far behind the front of the group, so I'm staying at the back so that I can show you what's happening from the back. On the next lap I'll go to the front and show you what's happening from the front. Okay, so now we're in the turn, it's told riders to go. So this is where you put down the power, and you have about 200 to 300 metres to go to the line. And they're coming up now. See it ahead. Hey Julia, nice to see you on this ride. Hope you stick it out to the end. Now the other thing to note is if you look at the second left on the screen, you can see I've now got another power up. This time it's a van, which is the draft power up, and I'm actually going to use it. So there we go, I've used the companion app to set off the drafting. So now I stay close to the group and I get the drafting benefit. which means I can ease back slightly to recover. Now what I'm going to try and do, I don't say I'll succeed, but what I'm going to try and do is get to the front of the group, so that the next time we hit the sprint, you can see exactly what's happening at the front end, at the sharp end. You can see Darren's telling the front to ease up because they're going a bit too far ahead and we're struggling to catch them at the back. So ignore my watt kilogram, because obviously in order to get to the front end of the race, of the ride, sorry, not the race, the ride, I have to put in more effort. And we've not even done a third of the ride yet and I'm already sweating like the proverbial pig. So this is hard work. Who'd have thought riding with a microphone stuck in front of you would be this hard, but hey. If you are watching this YouTube video now live, please give me a like and even consider subscribing, because I'm going to be posting more content from Zwift, but also some other fun stuff. Also watch out for some announcements from the 3R team, because we've got a few exciting propositions in the pipeline. Group rides on RGT, to name just one, but also we're doing a recruitment drive to bring on board more races, and we're going to tailor specific rides and workouts towards that. So that's something which is in the pipeline and I hope will come to fruition. I'm certainly going to get involved, and I'm currently looking at RGT with the thought of us running a Tuesday evening ride on that platform. Not that we don't love Zwift, I do, but it's always good to look at other platforms and just change things around a bit. And RGT, because they're still in the early stages of development, is a free service, so you don't have to pay to get on there. And that's how Zwift started out. They offered the beta to riders, and I think some of our 3R team were amongst the first riders on the platform. I was certainly an early adopter, not the first, but one of the early ones. And it's amazing to see the development that this platform has gone through. I love Zwift. I think it's the best thing since sliced bread for indoor training. And being a Yorkshireman, I don't want to pay for multiple platforms, so this is my platform of choice, and has been for quite a long time. I had a nasty accident in 2018 where I broke my hip and damaged my knee, and that saw me leaving cycling for a good year. And I'll be honest, I suffer from depression, and when I can't cycle, I'm not a nice person to be around. Cycling is my medicine. It helps me cope. So you can imagine that being away from the sport I love, you know, and I was cycling indoors and outdoors. I was doing like, you know, multiple hundreds and thousands of kilometres outdoors, as well as what I was cycling indoors. And to have that taken away from me, whoops, a bit of catch up. I'm not going to get to the front this ride, I'm too busy chatting. But yeah, to have that taken away from me was a bitter pill to swallow. But you'll never guess what I did to get back to cycling, because I couldn't bend my knee enough to turn the pedals when after the accident. So as recovery, I actually started climbing again, as I used to climb in my youth. And climbing helped me get back the mobility in the knee, so much so that I could get back on the bike again and cycle. And although it's taken a while, I'm back. And I'm looking forward to getting back to a decent level of fitness. Hopefully by the end of this year, I'll be somewhere near where I was. Slow but steady. So, the idea of my YouTube channel is to not only promote Zwift and the cycling, but to also tell the story about my recovery, my battle with cancer, my battles with depression, which are always ongoing. And I'm going to be honest, I'm going to really open up and tell people what it's like to live with depression and how I cope. But anyway, that's for another video. Let's concentrate on the ride. Here's Michael just behind me with the red beacon. Again, bringing riders back. Look at all the riders he's brought back. He does a fantastic job. Darren with the yellow beacon, the leader's jersey, is well ahead now. So I really need to put my foot down if I'm going to get to the front. So forgive me if I stop talking for a little while. Okay, we're getting back to the leader. And I'm going to go straight on past. Well, I'm doing 3 watt kilogram and I can't leave the group. That shows how fast the blob is going as a group. Doing well above pace and I can't get in front. Okay, I'm at the front of the ride now. That took a fair bit of effort just to get near the front. Now the idea is to try and stay with this small group who are just slightly ahead of the leader. You can see on the screen Darren announcing where he is on the course, i.e. how many kilometres he's done. Okay, so if you remember, we're going to go past the banner. You'll see it on the left hand side as we go down this road. My aim is to try and stay with this front group, and then you'll see the sprinters coming past me. There's the sprint notification. Notice how the current best time has gone from 14 on the first sprint, it's now at 12 seconds. And I expect that to be beaten by the end of the ride. We'll probably see an 11 winning the final sprint. There's the gate in front of me. We're getting very close to it. Now this is, remember what I told you about the sprinters? They have to be really careful that once they've done the sprint, this is the bend where they should be kicking out of. Now as they start sprinting, they've got to make sure they stop sprinting when it's done, because otherwise they're going to be too long through the gate. And they will get, look, there's a sprinter going there. There's another one. So you can see the sprinters now coming, there's another one. And another. Well, he's fast, so is he. There go the sprinters. And here's the banner. If you look to your left hand side, you see the time posted, 12:63. So Top Robertson has the top sprint. Can you also notice how I've picked up another power up? This time it's the aero helmet, second on your left from the top. So if I hit my keyboard spacebar, no, that's not working, I'll have to use the companion. There we go. I can now use the power aero, the aero boost. So I hope that gives you an idea of how the sprinting works. I'm not sprinting myself because basically it's too soon for me. I'm still trying to get back to some decent level of fitness, and I'm certainly not fit enough to be able to contest the sprint yet. I've been on Zwift since 2015, and in all that time I've only ever won one sprint. I've had the green jersey just the once. I've had the polka dot jersey, the climbing jersey a couple of times, but I've only had the green jersey once. And then I think that's only because the other riders were maybe taking it easy on me. But a word about Team3R. They're one of the largest teams on Zwift. I think I'm right in saying they organise more rides than any other team. We certainly have a full calendar for all levels of riders. I mean, we have a really good race ethos in the group, all the way from A+ riders back down to, you know, the newcomers coming in on D level, the D races. So I'm tired. So yeah, 3R are very, very active on Zwift, but the thing I'm most proud about is we have very, very active fundraisers, and we raise funds for World Bicycle Relief. You see the shirt I'm wearing. And I'm proud to have been a part of numerous fantastic fundraising efforts, 24-hour Zwiftathons. I've Everested. In fact, I've done multiple Everests. Yeah, we do an awful lot of fundraising. We meet up in real life. The guys have just had one in England. I think it was last weekend, and we've got one coming up next month here in the Netherlands, in Amsterdam. Oops, a bit of catch up. see what can happen when you just lose concentration. Yeah, so back to the fundraising. We're a very tightly knit but large group, and as you can see from the screen, 3R stands for ride, race, and most importantly, raise, fundraising. But talking about the racing aspect, we're currently recruiting D level racers. So if you're relatively new to Zwift, or you think racing is something you'd like to try, please get in touch with us. We have a Team3R Facebook page, so just type in Team3R on Facebook to find us. Leave a message, just say, look guys, I'm interested in racing for you, and somebody will get back to you. And as I've already said, we've got some exciting things planned around training and getting folks ready for racing on Zwift. So watch this space. Oh, and Eric Min says ride on. Wow, Eric Min is the founder of Zwift. Well done, Eric. That's cheered me up no end. How many other CEOs do you know would regularly come on their own platform? He rides a lot, he races, he does the group thing, and as you've just seen there, he comes on and watches and gives ride-ons. What a person. Dropped again. Come on, close the gap. It is really important, guys and girls, to make sure that you don't leave too much of a gap behind the rider in front, because if you do, you've seen what I've had to do. You really have to work hard to close the gap. Drafting works on Zwift. In fact, it works extremely well. You can save, well upwards of 30% energy when you're in the draft. Get out of the draft and you have to work considerably harder Now I'm not sure if the rider in front will actually close up the gap, so what I'll do is I'll recover in the draft, and then if I go past him I'll up my pace so that we can close to the gap. Here we go. So he's tiring, so what I'm going to do now, hopefully he'll grab my wheel, and I'm putting in a 3 kilogram effort just to close the gap. And thankfully the guy behind me realised what I'm doing and stuck on my wheel. Clever riding that. Well done. He's actually the guy that's leading the sprint at the moment, I believe. So he's probably tired from all the sprinting he's done. See if I can keep it going till we get back to the group. .4. One big effort now. One big effort. Come on. Okay, we're back. Okay, I'm going to give you a really important tip now. When you're doing what I've just done, closing the gap to the group, don't ease off too soon. Try and go as far into the group as you can.
Right on.
Because otherwise the actual drafting speed of the group will put you to the back again. So try and get as far forward as you can. Because obviously after closing the gap you're going to be tired, you're going to want to ease up. But if you do ease up, you're just going to get shot out the back. This is quite a fast ride tonight. What I like to do when doing these group rides is do what I'm doing now. Just make sure I'm flicking from small group to small group, always trying to move forward, with a leader just slightly behind me, or I'll ride at his side. But I'll always try, when I'm not live streaming like I am now, but I'll always try and stay close to the leader so that I can see his yellow beacon or the yellow banner. Of course, as I get stronger, I'm going to be taking part in the sprints, not because I expect to win them, but just for the training aspect. I'm only a lightweight, I think I'm about 63 kilos at the moment, but I'm a lightweight, so I'm better suited to climbing than what I am sprinting. Okay, riding with the leader. to start raining in game. Okay, so down for another sprint. I have a feeling this is going to be the last. I don't think we've got time for two more. And there goes Darren announcing it. I was right about Robertson, he is leading the sprint competition. Now because the sprint is going to finish before the end of the ride, pretty well before the end of the ride, what Darren might choose to do is offer the riders a mini race, because they obviously can't do another sprint, so he might offer them a mini race. And what that means is he'll choose a point, he'll announce it first, and he'll choose a point, shall we say 3, 4, 5 minutes to go, and say, okay, everybody flat out, everybody that wants to race flat out to the line. If he doesn't do that, then what I do expect is for the group to roll in at quite a faster pace than what we're doing now. No improvement on the sprint time, so it looks like Mr. Robertson has won it for the evening. Okay, if you look up on the screen, I've now got a feather power up, and what that means is that when you hit that power up, it drops your weight, so it makes you lighter. Now most people would use that on a climb, and in fact I'll save it till we're going up the rise and then use it, because it allows you to go up the climb slightly faster. See if I can show you it working once we hit the climb. A bit of close up though. Okay, there we go, close up the gap. Remember what I said about trying to get as far forward as you can once you close the gap up. Don't ease off too soon. It looks like Darren's thinking we have got another sprint. Maybe we'll get there just in time. Further power up isn't going to do me any good in a sprint. I might as well use it now. Okay, so power up on now. I should start moving forward. Yeah, just a bit. It's not really steep enough to take too much effect, but yeah, as Darren's just said, don't forget to check out the Facebook page. Team3R. Okay? Leave any comments. Darren will do a ride report. I don't know if he'll do it tonight or tomorrow morning, but he'll do a ride report and you better comment.
Right on.
Also, if I can ask, please leave a like if you've enjoyed the video, and consider subscribing to the channel, because we've got a lot more content on its way and a lot of fun stuff as well. Yeah, it looks like we're going to get to the sprint before the end of the ride, just. Oh, and I almost forgot to tell you, you probably saw on screen then Darren say that his kids would be awake soon. Well, that's because Darren is in Australia. So for him, it's early morning. Full respect, Darren, for getting up at this hour, mate. How are we going to make the banner before the clock runs out? Only hit 20. Should just do it. Might even have to sprint myself. There go the sprinters. Last chance saloon. Ride ending in 52 seconds. we're going to get there. How is that then? 30 seconds to spare and a bit. Yes. Well done, Darren. Good ride, good lead. Top notch, mate. Now the nice thing about this ride is it will display a leaderboard when the timing finishes, and you'll be able to see just how well you did. It's not a race, but it's nice to know what kilos you put out. Here we go. So there you can see. Bang on 2.0. How good is that? That's why they call me True2 Boo. Oh, I'm pleased with that. Okay. Well, if you've stuck it out through both the Launchpad and the True2, thank you very much. And see you next time. Don't forget to hit the like and subscribe buttons. Okay? Bye for now.
What?